Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of The Force of Flow. It is and has taken me some time to come back and talk to you guys about a certain topic. But on my vacation now in Turkey, I was reading a magazine from the Süddeutsche Zeitung, so the South German newspaper. And one of the articles had to do with perfectionism, and really interesting because it started off saying how it seems to be these days a certain type of fad or accessory that young people are writing on their profiles and in conversations, saying that they are perfectionists and that they strive for excellence. And I stopped for a minute and came to the conclusion, you know what? I've been a perfectionist my whole life, and I don't look at it as an accessory at all. Probably the opposite for me is true, and maybe this is why it takes me sometimes longer to come back and talk to you, because I want it to be just right. I strive for that because that's something ingrained in me. It's something I grew up with in my family, looking at doing things perfectly, be it with projects or studying, tests, sports, friendship. I remember making projects with rulers so that the lines would be straight. I remember, relentlessly repeating vocabulary so that I wouldn't make a mistake. And it was all about repetition. I remember rewriting text so that my handwriting would look great and wouldn't be messy. I remember listening to recordings and using colored pencils so that, markers wouldn't bleed. It was something that was very much ingrained in me, and to such an extent that I was so nervous with test taking and looking for ways to lessen the burden that I set on myself. Unfortunately, my body wasn't hooked up to my thoughts like that, and it sometimes got so bad that I broke out in hives and in fever blisters. What I want to say with that is I've struggled with this, and with time and age and experience, it's gotten less. But it is a long journey, and it is something where I often see myself falling back into old patterns. And in comparison, I would say, looking at the youth of today, or when we're in the job and you have people applying, we are a competitive society, and we look for more, better, faster, stronger, all these things, and it's almost unattainable. But we push ourselves to such an extent that we hope one day we can make it there. But again, perfectionism doesn't exist. It is, what can we be satisfied with? Is there less that we can do that is still acceptable? So until about 2013, perfectionism was my weakness, and I used this as a story to tell in my timeline because around the same time I was an adult, I already had kids, and I came across a company that hired me because of my language skills, and they were working in the agile environment. And that was the first time that I'd ever heard about this. It was a brand new language for me that I had to learn. So, of course, I was already drawn into this, being a language enthusiast, so to say. But when I realized that agility was a way of letting go, of accepting failure, making that part of the culture that I wanted to live, and using that as a way to say, you don't have to be perfect. On the contrary, you shouldn't. Because what do you learn from things that go well and from success? You don't learn as much as you do from your failures. And I know that that's a strong word, but I'm going to risk using that because sometimes things just don't work, don't turn out your way. But every one of those turns out to be an opportunity for improvement, a way of looking for a new direction, a new path. And this journey I got on board with very quickly because it took the burdens off my shoulders. It lessened the pressure. I broke out less and less in hives. I was able to use this and also help others because I know that people with the same history, with the idea of striving for something that doesn't exist, I wanted to help them because I figured I have and am still on this journey. And anybody whom I can assist to lessen this burden, that's my purpose. So, becoming agile was my life's mission. It allowed me to become more flexible and adaptable and accepting, as I mentioned, failure as a learning opportunity. So, back to the article that I was reading, it talks about how people put this sort of information onto their resumes, into essays, but because you never reach this, the true perfectionists, they're driven by fear, the fear of failure, the fear of making mistakes. And mistakes are just that. They're looked and perceived as failure. And again, those that see perfectionism as a fad look at it as something, I can make it, I will get there. So, long delays and lists and ideas have probably prevented me from coming and talking again to you all earlier. It's difficult because I start second guessing myself. And according to the article, people's thoughts revolve around that as well. It's been a while since I've been satisfied with my results, but they're stuck in this vicious cycle of I need it to be just so I can start. And then looking at their past and their present, it prevents them from seeing the positive, the opportunity, the anabolic energy that's constructive. They're sucked into a vortex of negativity. People often feel anxious and have self doubt. And in order to let go of this pressure, they have to let go of the notion that they are deficient in some way and faulty, according to Thomas Karan, who is a perfectionist researcher. And like myself, it's a long road, and sometimes you do need professional help. I have never had professional help. Looking at my journey, I think I'm lucky because I was able to organically get out of this vicious cycle, but not everyone has that same opportunity. And because I'm a coach and I took this training, I was able to be self aware of my gremlins, of the things that are blocking me, and this was one of them. So I've been working on this since I was a little girl. And if you're not careful, it will take control of you. But if you can accept the fact that this is a work in progress, it will slowly get easier. Since I'm a mom with 2 kids, I have taught them, hopefully, some of these tidbits to take away and use in their own life. Because striving for perfection is not the future that I would like them to pursue. And talking constantly about you don't have to be perfect. This is good enough as well. If you try your hardest, you do things on time, you're a hard worker, then you have to be satisfied and happy with your results. You can always do better next time. And maybe you can't. Maybe there are things, subjects that you will never be good at. But to tell them that that's okay. You can't be good at everything, nor can you be an expert on everything. What is important is that they see the improvement opportunities in front of them and they look at it as one step further. Now, if you're a leader and you recognize anyone in your team that struggles as a perfectionist, perhaps even an introvert, these people don't necessarily hand things in on time. Perhaps they're shying from deadlines or they start things over and over. The best thing that you can do is to continue your rapport with these people. Have regular one on ones. Definitely creating a space where psychological safety is natural and trust is the foundation. Reward people for taking risks and create an environment where the failure culture is celebrated. I think it's about improving people's self perception. Also, encouraging them sometimes, hey, take a break. Make sure you get up, you take 10 minutes, you turn off, you go do something else. I still struggle with that today. I find myself sitting long hours at the computer and I just keep going because I don't recognize the it's time to stop. You need to turn things off. You need to turn your brain off. Step away. But this is something that I continuously work on. I go around the block, I get some fresh air, I go into the kitchen, I grab something to drink, I meditate, I do breathing exercises. So I can arm myself with things that will help. It won't go away entirely, but I would say, as of right now, this journey has become a lot easier. And the view of the future looks that much brighter. If you have any questions, if you have comments, I'd really love to hear stories that you have encountered. Maybe you know people who are struggling with perfectionism. I hope that this has helped a bit shine some light on, people who look at this as a fad versus those that are perfectionists and struggle with this. And perhaps this can shine a little bit of light and is a beacon for opportunities, little steps, getting better. I want to thank you guys for listening. I hope and really wish to hear from you guys and to see you again soon. And may the force of flow be with you.